Cody is in a really awful mood, and I don't know why. It's like I have a bunch of good thoughts so he doesn't break during this, but that's okay, it's not about him. This is an alternative defense type thing that I came up with a while ago, but haven't had a chance to really use or show off at all, because in my Let's Plays, I refuse to use kill zones for the most part. I'll wall up a little bit, and only just recently did I decide to finally wall up, but I don't really use kill zones, so something like this never really happened. I wasn't able to show it off. But what we have here is the area in green is where the colonists are set to build a roof. The area in red is where they're set not to build a roof, and everything else doesn't really matter. And what this is basically just a couple support beams holding up a roof. And you take out the support beam, a roof falls, doing damage. Sometimes it does a lot of damage to a really cool body part. Other times it doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Sometimes all of its damage is put into like the nose. So you shatter the nose and then that's it. And that's unfortunate, but a little bit of RNG involved, but it is a nice little supplementary defense that requires no power and doesn't really require many materials to use either. So it's more of a mid game because it uses the IED traps. But if you don't have IED traps, you can just use wood walls. And you can either shoot the wood wall or blow it up if you have grenades or Molotovs. But because of its health, I'd recommend that you take off the home region for the wall and you just shoot it ahead of time, damage it, so it's really easy to take down, and then you can shoot at it again later on. The walls are pretty easy to hit for colonists. They can manage pretty well. IEDs, a little tougher, harder to hit, not quite as reliable. So a grenade would be a really cool thing for it. But the IEDs will always take out a wall no matter where it is within its explosion radius. They'll always take out the wooden wall. And the other IEDs within its radius will also blow up. So it's a really cool way to chain react, and we'll go for shooting the wall here a bit just to show accuracy for it. It's really solid. Or going for the IED trap, a little harder target, but it doesn't take very much to finally, if Cody would block, right? Doesn't take much to finally bring it down. You can see just how much damage it did. None of these people were in the explosion radius except maybe E1. He might have been. Yeah, it looks like he might have been. But you can see just the damage. This one with a really badly cut neck is just dead, straight up. This one also dead. Massive cut in the head, death in 8 hours. They're not going to be doing very well after this. Yeah, cut head. That one's also got asthma, cut head. Left ear. See, this is one of those where it's like, yeah, it hurts, but it doesn't do as much. Sometimes it just goes for the nose somehow. It's like only the nose took damage. But it's a really good way to take out the weaker attackers that there are while also hindering severely the other attackers. I don't know why you're down from a crushed eye. Must be a wimp. I think we got a couple wimps or something. But that's that. Or down here, if you want a more hands-off approach, you can do it this way. Sandbags sort of routing the enemy in a certain particular way. They hit the IED, it explodes, the roof falls. Not a very good example because the explosion radius is actually the size of this hallway. I sort of screwed up a little bit there, so it's more of a proof of concept, but it works the same way. This dude's head completely blown off. Sorry, the neck was torn off. Same difference. But you can see it. It's really effective, obviously, if they get caught in the explosion. But otherwise, just the roof falling was pretty effective too. If it didn't take out a guy, it definitely wounded them enough to make the combat a lot easier, and it really doesn't cause that many materials. Down here, the little hammer icon below the time controls is something that's by default off. If you turn it on, it automatically blueprints the stuff when it's gone, so it's really easy to reset everything up. You just got to make sure that this is looking for the home area. So if you're going for the route where you take something out of the home area to destroy it, or wound it a lot so somebody doesn't repair it, so it's not in the home region, you just got to keep that in mind, that you're going to have to put it in the home region so it can be rebuilt automatically, or just remember to do it. But that totally works too. Whether you have an explosive or a Molotov makes it just a whole lot easier, or just shooting the wall, or shooting IEDs if you got them. You can chain react and get a lot more creative with IEDs though. I've expanded this out a little bit to show sort of how you would chain react around support beams to extend this basically indefinitely, just as long as the IED is within line of sight. and is within the area, it is completely okay. But if this were like, if this was hugging the wall, it might not work because line of sight and explosions are, I don't know if that pierced through the wood or not, actually. Worth a shot in trying, I suppose. What I've got here, it's all roofed up. I've expanded a little bit, sandbags along the edges to make sure that the attackers don't skirt around the edge. I have the game saved at this point, so the attackers, they have the exact same pathing, the exact same stats and everything like that. And we will do this once with the roof up, and then we'll do it again with the roof down, so you can sort of see the differences. Again, it's not hugely major, but it should help turn the tide just a little bit, especially when it comes to fighting big tribes like this, where there's just so many of them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down colonists, and we took no damage. 2 of them escaped, but injured. And this time, no roof at all whatsoever, just the IED so you can see. They should be taking the exact same pathing. I think this guy's going to hit this mine, set it all off. Nice headshot early on. My second headshot to bring that one down. Melee is closing in on us. I will sort of manually handle this a bit because the colonists are absolute garbage at this sort of thing. Although I suppose our melee skill's 20, we could probably just engage hand to hand. But we have now, I don't know what you are. What are you? Were you downed? You're still hostile. We have a bunch of injured dudes escaping. We have just this one downed. Nope, 2 downed. 2 downed, and we took a little bit of damage and had to do a little bit of manual work for the melee. So, I mean, generally your results, your mileage may vary because the randomness of RimWorld and all that, there's a lot of RNG going on, so sometimes it'll be less effective, sometimes more effective, but you can see there is definitely a difference there. Doing a little bit of damage to people, depending on where that injury is, makes them a whole lot easier to bring down, makes them worse in combat, and generally just makes the entire group of them a lot. I love how this guy's just limping away, bleeding out all over the ground. His head and skull, oh god. I think he might be concussed. Oh geez, poor guy. It just makes everything a little bit easier, especially when dealing with massive groups of tribesmen, and it doesn't cost, I mean, this sort of got expensive. This is quite a large one. That's 11 IEDs. But, I mean, otherwise it's just wood. The sandbags are fine. They just need to be repaired. It's, I don't know. Like I said, it's something to consider. It's not game changing. It's not completely bullshit. It's not ridiculous. Just something to help you out.